Hello guys, today I'm going to show all of you guys one of my best games in the Sicilian Najdorf defense on Sicilian Najdorf defense. So let's start. This game was played yesterday. So I was playing with the black pieces and the game starts with e4, c5, the Sicilian, knight f3, d6, d4 the open Sicilian defense, the open Sicilian. So cd4, knight d4, knight f6, knight c3, a6, the Najdorf or the Najdorf. So f3, this is one of the main lines. There is a lot of lines. There is bishop e3, bishop g5, bishop c4, bishop e2, and a lot of side lines as well. So yeah, so my opponent chooses f3 and it will transpose into the bishop e3 Sicilian Najdorf. That's why I have played e5 and bishop e6, bishop e3, all standard stuffs, bishop e7. This is all theory, main line, queen d2, short castles, long castles, and this is going to be a very fascinating, full steam ahead, full attacking game. Like we will be going all out on the queen side, white will be coming all out on our king side, and whoever gets the attack first will prevails. So let's see who gets it. So knight b7, g4, white is coming, b5, g5, b4. Already everything has started to clarify. So here is the main line goes knight to e2, knight e8, f4, a5, f5 and a4, and a lot of like complicated stuffs in the main line. But in our game this is not what happens. My opponent plays another sideline from here. At this point this was all my prep, but from this point forward this is all on the board. Like I have no preparation about these positions. Like I have prepped knight e2 lines and everything, but this is completely new. So my opponent takes, pawn captures. Now you cannot take the bishop because pawn captures d2. If you take this guy, then pawn captures d2 is a check and you will lose a queen. So queen capture c3 is completely forced, and knight capture f6 is also forced. Otherwise the d6 pawn will be hanging. So from this point forward my opponent started to go wrong. So first of all my opponent played h4, which is not a very bad move. Rook c8, queen d2. But h4 is a good move and a good human move. But the theory goes like knight a5. Like this is all been played, and this same position has occurred in yesterday's Olympiad game in the USA versus Iran game, Param Makslu versus Fabiano Caruana versus Param Makslu, and Fabiano played knight a5 in this position, and then this game goes rook c8, knight c6. This is kind of the theory. Queen e8, knight e7, queen e7, and queen d2, of course, saving the queen. And this is the kind of the line, because you want the knight to trade against this important dark square bishop, because then the d6 square or the d6 pawn becomes very weak. So this is a very important point. Otherwise this bishop is doing a fantastic job defending the d6 pawn. So this was kind of the way to go. But my opponent goes h4, which is a very logical move as well. He wants to attack on the king side. Rook c8, queen d2, queen c7, and I am already pressuring this dangerous c file with all of my pieces coming forward. King b1, a prophylactic move, and I needed no invitation for the d5 pawn break, because the d5 pawn break is the main thing in the Sicilian defense. So if a Sicilian player can achieve d5 pawn break without any hesitation, without any problems, then he is completely fine, and his positions will be very nice and very better as well. Like black can already be better, claim that black is a very nice position in this position. So here my opponent plays bishop g5, which is already a step in the wrong direction. He is going like very bad in this position. Like he's going with bad plans. At least he's coming up with plans. That's a good thing. So here pawn captures, and after bishop g5 I was calculating wild stops. So first look at this, pawn captures on e4, and here his idea is bishop capture f6. His idea is bishop captures and pawn captures, where the pawns will be equal, and white can claim he has some attack on the g file with some rook g1 stuff. Let's say rook d8, queen g2, and some stuffs. Sorry, queen g2 is not a move. Queen e2 trading and some stuffs on the g file. White can claim that. So white has calculated that, but from this position onward, like pure savage moves will begin. So here my opponent plays bishop capture f6, and now look at this intermediate pawn move e3. Now if you take this pawn, then queen captures c2, king moves, queen captures d1, and this is devastating, and this will be game over. So obviously you cannot take the pawn, and this the only move is bishop capture e5. Now if you move this guy, then anyway you take this bishop and you are a pawn down. You still cannot take this guy because queen captures and the same thing. So here my opponent also find the best idea, which I have calculated as well. Bishop e5, queen e5, and here I was calculating a blunder for my opponent. Here my opponent should be playing something like I don't know, queen e2 or something, bishop f6, c3. But c3 there is rook c3. There is weird stuffs. Like I was calculating like this kind of stuffs here, and this is dangerous. This is not mate as well because the knight is like, there is a lot of things. After c3 we can even just take this knight takes, and rook captures, pawn captures, queen captures. There is a lot of dangerous stuffs on the queen side for white. So I was calculating all this with c3 and everything, but here my opponent falls for a trick, very interesting trick, queen d4, and here comes e2. Now if you take this guy, then we take the rook with check, and that would be over. So yeah, my opponent should have played queen into that. I've already shown all of you guys with bishop f6 and c3 stuffs, bishop captures, pawn captures, all of have been shown. All the lines that I was calculating all these c3 stuffs, but here my opponent falls for a very easy trick, queen d4, and here my opponent loses a whole piece after bishop e2, queen e2. But still the fireworks doesn't stop. Like look at this, like just the finishing of the game would be wonderful, I promise you guys. So rook g1, rook h1, queen captures c2 check, king b1, and bishop f6, a move that looks completely impossible, but and I found that move as well. So now if you take this guy, the point is queen captures d1, of course rook captures and pawn capture f6, where black will be a complete rook up and in a completely winning position. So he cannot take, but he wants to get fancy. He takes on g7, bishop g7, rook g1, and here I don't want to, I just don't want my queen in this game. Like I want to sacrifice it, and I desperately wanted to sacrifice my queen, and finally got the chance. Queen c1 check, knight c1, rook c1, rook c1, and bishop captures queen, and this is all over. We are already two pieces up and in a completely winning position. Rook b8 attacking the b2 pawn, rook c2, bishop f5 attacking the rook, rook d2 attacking our bishop, and rook c8 you cannot take because of back rank, because if you take then there is checkmate on the back rank. So my opponent plays a3, tries to prevent the back rank checkmate plans, but this is all over. Rook c1 check, king a2, bishop e6 check, pawn push, and rook a1 is a wonderful checkmate. So what a wonderful game, and I am finally getting back some form before the big tournament in the month of August. So feeling so good, and wanted to show this game to all of you and analyze this game a little more briefly. I have already shown this game to a lot of my friends as well, a little shorter way. I wanted to like show this game in a broader way and analyze briefly. So I hope you guys liked it, and if you guys liked it, then like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to the Chess Orcos channel. Goodbye guys.